G'day everyone, welcome to Get Lost with a Travel Guide with host Ben, and today we've got a glam rocker all the way, I believe, in Los Angeles at the moment. Oh man, I'm a big fan of this guy. Please welcome, it is my pleasure and my honor to introduce to the podcast, Michael Starr from the band
Hey,
Steel Panther. How are you?
doing good. We finally connected, man. Sorry it took so long.
It's all good. I know it's one of the reasons why I really appreciate you doing this podcast, because you're an interesting guy. And you do a lot of travel as a result of living life on the road as a musician. And I just really like to unpack that with you. You probably get a lot of questions like, oh my God, what's your favorite band influence? But I figured we'd be able to discuss or really unpack like a different side, perhaps to Steel Panther, living life on the road, traveling. It's what you guys do. And I'd imagine it's how you, as a means of an income. But where are you right now? Looks like in your shed.
Well, right now I'm in my mom's garage. She I get to live in here, so I set up all my studio, my bikes, my motorbikes. I got everything in here I need. I got a brand new mountain bike. I just got it. I found it on the street. It wasn't locked, so I just brought it home. It's really nice.
Right. So you'd
Yeah.
be riding around. So it's just Christmas time. You're just sort of winding down from life on the road. Is that right?
Well, Christmas time is a time to reconnect with your family, as you know, and just like be together. So we're probably going to go on tour on the 24th with the band and go party in Vegas. And then
On
we're
the
going to fly
24th,
back.
like 24th coming up, you're talking Christmas Eve. What am I saying? Yeah, Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Well, that's my family. The band's my family, Ben. That's the way it is.
Well,
And we do a lot of hanging. And then I'll hang with my mom. I'll see some of my other family members. And, Christmas is great. I love it.
how is life with the family? I mean, I've spent many years on the road myself as a tour guide, and that's probably one of the most challenging things. Is that the same for yourself? Like, how do you manage that? I mean, you got your bands, your family, but do you have a family? Are you married? Do you have kids?
Yeah, no, not yet, but I'm working on it. It's a tough thing when you travel so much. People don't want to hang out with you as much, except when you're on the road, they'll hang out with you. But when you're gone all the time, it's really difficult to cultivate that type of relationship. So I just, I fall in love, I stay in love for a couple of weeks at a time and I move on. That's the way it is for me. I'm a rambling man, like Robert Plant used to say.
Well,
Now,
when you,
all joking aside, seriously,
yeah,
I love being home. I love being here, and my mom loves me. Everybody's here for me, and it's a great time to spend the holidays with people who love you.
good answer. So when you're with your family on the road and you're in Australia, what did you think of Australia? What's your thoughts on it? How many times have you been here?
Well, two questions in one. I'll answer the first one. Been to Australia probably, God, man, at least 7 times, I believe, maybe 6 times. I think it's 6 time actually. And the first this last time we went out, the place I met you was Newcastle. I've never been there before. So that was really exciting for me.
How
It
did
was
that get on
nice.
the radar? Why was Newcastle on the? I mean, most bands tour to like the big cities. It's a pretty big city, but not in comparison to other one. How did that get on the radar?
I don't know. Our agent will send over a list of possible dates, and if it fits into the routing and it works out, and it's a good venue and all that stuff, we'll do it. And that's basically what happened.
So what do you think of Newcastle? What's your thoughts of the town?
Well, that one, I don't know exactly where we were staying relative to the city. But I walked the beach and I got to see a really killer break. It was really awesome. It was like one wave coming in from over here, another wave coming in over here, and they'd meet in the middle. And it was kind of like there's a break in Newport Beach called the Wedge in Orange County here in Southern California. And that does pretty much the same thing. And when it meets, it pops straight up in the air. And people love riding on that. So I was actually going to rent a board and try it, but I chickened out. I chose to take a hike instead.
So you're also a surfer?
Yeah, yeah,
Ah, yeah,
yeah. I
there you
love
go.
surfing since I was 14.
Oh, true. Are you able to do any of that whilst you're on the tour? Like, or not necessarily like in Australia? Have you done that anywhere else, or you
No,
have the time?
I haven't surfed in Australia. I surfed in Hawaii when we were there before we got to Japan. We uh we had a long flight to Japan, so we're like, well, let's book a show in Hawaii and we'll spend a couple days and hang out. So we
Hmm.
flew out, and Satchel and I, a guitar player, we rented a couple boards and went out and rode waves for a couple days. It was really fun.
Huh. Is that how
Yeah.
you like? Is that how do you manage your downtime when you're not performing? Like, is it surfing or is it? I mean, because I was looking at your Instagram and when I met you, you seem like quite the explorer. Like, it seems like maybe musicians just might stay in the hotel room and I don't know what they do, but it seems like you're the opposite. You're actually going out and immersing yourself in each destination.
Yeah, I feel more comfortable when I'm in a town and I go out and walk around within that town. It makes me feel like I'm a part of it. So, when I get to a city, first thing I'll do when I wake up, usually the bus will roll up to a city. I'll get my phone out, go on maps looking for a hiking trail near me, and I'll walk to it and I'll just hike it with a big old fat cup of coffee and I do that. It's kind of like morning meditation for me. I
Yeah.
really enjoy it a lot. I don't know about you, but you walk, you talk to your friends on the phone, and just get some miles in, man. I do about anywhere from 5 to 10 miles a day, basically, is what I do.
That's how you maintain your consistency. Is there other band members do the same thing? Like, how do they sort of maintain that, positive mindset before? I mean, I don't know what it's like, but I'd imagine, you're getting ramped up to perform to thousands of people and they're paying a lot of money with an expectation to be entertained. That'd be
Yeah, it's a good, good
that's
point.
a lot of pressure. Is that
Yeah, it is
part of your,
pressure. But, look, when you go to a show, if it were me and I went to a show to see my favorite band and the singer was out of breath and tired and overweight, I'd be bummed, you know? And I personally, I like doing that because walking, getting that cardio for myself, it really clears my mind. It gets me set for what I'm going to do. But I also have to be cautious too, because I don't know if you've ever done this because you're a hiker too. But I know I've done 3 shows in a row. I'm worn out, but I'm still hiking the next day on my day off. And sometimes I'll do like 12 miles. And the next day when I wake up, my legs are shot and I got to do a show. So I had to learn to be more responsible with that because at the end of the day, the most important thing is the show.
yeah, I would
So I got to
imagine.
be ready for the show, man. And another key thing for me is just about under a gallon of water a day when I'm hiking at high level.
How do you not wet your pants on stage?
Yeah. I get the cardio walking, man. It's killer. And I see a lot of great, you know, landmarks and stuff. It's pretty awesome. But I also get to, sweat it out. And then I go do the same thing on stage. So it's basically like 3 or 4 hours of cardio a day. Pretty awesome.
Did you do that like on your recent tour to Australia? So like, you really got that exercise in or, maybe snuck in a surf session, but like back on Australia, like what are your thoughts? Like you said you've been here like 6 to 7 times. Like what's your thoughts on Australian people, the Australian culture, the destinations?
Well, the culture is really cool. It's very easy for this guy to assimilate himself in Australia. I feel like right when I got there, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. I love Australia. It's almost like a tropical Los Angeles to me. It's like beautiful. There's beaches everywhere. There's waves. There's surfers. There's hot chicks, and it's awesome. And I just enjoy it. Sydney's fun to hang out in. Brisbane, I really enjoy Brisbane. Melbourne, I love that place. And even Perth, man. Perth is really fun to go play.
Could you see yourself living here?
I could see myself probably living, I would probably say maybe on the Gold Coast somewhere.
Oh, it's that blonde, beautiful hair that you got. It's sort of ties
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, I think I'd go there, man, because I really do. I would really, if I were to retire, I'd retire at a Gold Coast next to my favorite tattoo artist, Tennille.
Well, Gold Coast, I spent like a month in Miami and I found culturally there's a lot of similarities. Like it's like the rollerbladers, the fake tits, the fake tans, everyone, hey, but that's kind of like LA, right? Is that sort of like that Venice Beach, that type of vibe? It's the glitz and glamour, and that is the Gold Coast. So that's right. That's
I
your
like it, man. I like some action in my life.
Well, speaking of action, your lyrical content of Steel Panther, it's hilarious. Like, I find it, it's quite like a comical sort of metal rock band and a rather unique. And I'm not sure if any other bands are like that. And I love it. Cracks me up. I think it's all about positivity and positive vibes. But like, is that the case? Like, or when you're singing about all sorts of things like, I don't know, fucking chicks and doing drugs, and it's living that stereotypical glam metal rock like lifestyle. Is that true? Or is that just a myth?
Well, it's funny because as we've gotten older, it's a little hard to keep up with our lyrics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most of those lyrics are written off actual events that have happened. That's why I think when people come see us and, we're playing our music and we're singing those lyrics, they're like, they believe it because we're genuinely telling a story of experiences that we've had or have experienced with, another band member, right? And so, yeah, I mean, 17 girls in a row is probably a stretch, for what really happened, but it felt like 17 girls in a row.
Are you serious?
Satchel still thinks it's 17 girls, but I counted and I went, I graduated 8th grade and I can count really well. So
I honestly thought it just had to be too far fetched. But at the same token, where do you get all the inspiration? Like, I thought, nah, it can't be legit. But so the groupie thing, like, do you have any sort of stories did that happen recently in Australia? Was there any sort of, Aussie girls just losing their mind thinking, you know what, here's Steel Panther, let's go?
man, Australia's been great for us. I'll have to tell you that. I mean, the girls in Australia have been, our shows really in Australia are about 50-50 guys to girl ratio. And it's pretty awesome, man. And the interaction with the audience, especially the female side of the audience, is intense. They're always into it. They like the flash. They like the party afterwards. And usually, what we'll do is during one of our songs, we'll get a bunch of girls on stage, and usually the girls that get on stage are the ones that really like to party. So what we'll have is like a kind of a backstage system that works, and we'll get them on stage, and then the road crew guy, he gets to pick out any chicks he thinks we'd like, and he gives them backstage passes, and then we kind of have a little after party afterwards, and it's always a blast.
Can you elaborate on the blast?
Yeah, the blast is awesome. You know what I mean? Whether it's finger or just having a blast, it's a good time.
Oh man.
But hey, honestly, I got to tell you though. I mean,
Sure.
let's be honest. I'm old. I'm not old, but I'm getting up there, right? I have to remember, like I was telling you earlier about the hiking. I got to remember to rest and stop talking because I have shows, like 4 in a row, 3 in a row, 4 in a row, 3 in a row. I got to take care of my voice. So if I'm up partying all the time, talking and hanging out, then my voice starts suffering. And like I told you earlier, the most important thing about touring is the show, is being there for the people and playing for them.
So partying aside, drugs aside, groupies aside, you put work, or the whole band puts that's a priority. Like you also, so what happens if people start to step out of line? Yeah, because like touring lifestyle, it's wild. It's a lot of unknowns. Like a lot of people maintain consistency with their health through like regularity of their lifestyle, but you're living an irregular lifestyle.
Yeah, it's different. You have to really get trained to do that. When we first started touring professionally on our first record, Feel the Steel, back in 2009, we were rookies on tour buses. We didn't know what we were doing. We're just like bringing chicks on the bus and they end up sleeping and they end up in the next town with us. We're like, what the fuck do we do with them? And then once you figure out you have to fly them back and it's on you, then you realize when it hits your pocketbook, you're like, oh my God, we can't do that. But, it's just been, a learning experience of how to maintain what's the most important thing. And that's the show, right? So, and you learn through experience. Like I was telling you about my voice, right? I mean, I've gone on stage like, oh my God, I don't know if I can even sing, and I have to realize, oh my God, I got to chill out, rest 8 hours, don't sleep only 2, and take care of myself. So yeah, our drummer gets out of hand all the time. He's hard to wrangle in sometimes. I'm like, come on, we got to leave. We have to leave now. No, one more drink. No, we got to leave, dude. Let's go.
Well, it might be easier with the drummer because he doesn't have his voice to worry about. He's just got to maintain the rhythm of the beat and also be physically up to the challenge of beating out the drums, I guess. So maybe he can party harder.
It does, man. What happens is he'll be playing like this, and then all of a sudden he'll start losing gas with it. He starts slowing down shit. I turn around, speed it up, let's go. It happens. Your arms start feeling like heavy weights after a while when you're really tired. So
Yeah, yeah.
actually being the drummer and the singer are the two most difficult jobs physically to do.
Well, if you meet a groupie and you're just having a bit of a one night stand, how did it eventuate that they're actually with you on the tour bus? How do you not just like end it right there and go, well, we got to go, we're on tour? How'd you
Well,
sneak
sometimes what happens is you'll bring them on the bus and, we get together and then you kind of pass out, because you just pass out, right? And then the bus takes off and you wake up and you're in the next town. It's crazy.
Well, what you just experienced right there, and sort of depicted, it sounds extremely challenging to live life as a musician. I studied music at like a college here in Newcastle for a little bit. I was like DJing and stuff, and my music teacher stared us all in the eye and just set the expectation: less than 1% of musicians can actually make it as a living. What can you say about that?
That's absolutely true. The ones who make it are the ones who never give up. And that's what I tell young and up and coming artists that are in local bands or ask me. It's the bottom line is whoever works the hardest and never gives up will have success.
Where did you get that mindset?
From my dad.
It sounds like you, with that type of talk, you might have like a bit of a growth mindset, or maybe your father. What was he doing? How did he install that?
Well, when I was younger, like in my early, like maybe 12, I remember him telling me, he goes, look, you want to be a rock star, huh? And I go, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to sing on stage like Led Zeppelin. He's like, well, the first thing you got to do is get a job. I was like, what? Get a job? I don't want to work. I'm 12 years old. He goes, that's what you have to do. Right now, you can sing in the garage and play with your guitar, but who's going to pay the bills? And he goes, then you better practice and you better work hard on it. Because if you don't work hard, you're not going to have any success. So, that was one thing that really, like, I don't know what it did to me, because I always would ask my parents for money and they're like, nope, nope, nope. And I had a paper out. So I got that paper out and I worked and I delivered newspapers and shit. And I bought a guitar from that paper out. And I learned the value of working. Because to me, if I could pay for what I wanted, especially for music stuff, I was just overjoyed.
So you said your first album was 2009 and you're getting a bit older, as you sort of described. So that means, like, how was your 20s and 30s for you? Because that's also what my music teacher told me. It's like, if you didn't make it by your 20s, maybe your 30s, forget it. Is that your story?
Well, in my 20s, I was in, I think it was about 3 bands in my 20s. And all 3 bands were this close. Like, we start out, in the garage, start playing gigs, build a following, find a producer to invest in us, make a demo, start shopping it to labels. So the first band got together in the garage, wrote a bunch of songs, started playing shows, got a good crowd, broke up. Next band, one more level higher, broke up. Next level, one more level higher, and so on and so forth. So I guess all that hard work is intrinsic. You know what I mean? It like all that work builds up this, I don't know, endurance.
Yeah.
Continue and not stop, but it's not like, when Satchel and I got together and we started playing shows with the other guys, it started here in our garage. And then we got to the Viper Room and we started selling it out, which was awesome. And then we decided to do that EP that's called Whole Patrol. We recorded it all ourselves. And then we left the Viper Room because they wouldn't pay us more money. And we moved to the Roxy. And this is all like in my early 30s. And then we moved to the Roxy and our records started doing good. And the Roxy started selling out. And then we left the Roxy because they weren't paying us enough money. We went to this bigger club on Hollywood, on Sunset Boulevard. And that's where we got signed from, is that particular show.
What if you didn't? Like, were you still in the mindset of like, nah, I'm going to make it big. I'm just going to keep persisting no matter what. This is my journey. This is my destiny. Was there any other thought process of going back to the paper route or, getting a 9 to 5?
Well, in between my first bands, I was working I decided to move to Hollywood. My mom told me, she goes, look, if you really want to have a shot, you're going to have to move to Hollywood. So I finally moved out to Hollywood, and I thought, what kind of job can I get that I would like? You know, I did construction. I worked at fast food shit. I'm just like, I don't want to do that. So I got a job at a music publishing company called Warner Chappell. And they were super big. They had tons of music, a huge music catalog of super awesome songs. And I worked there for a couple of years, and then they laid me off, and I ended up going to Capitol Records. I got a job there, and I worked at Capitol Records for like 3 years in production. And then I moved on to the Virgin Records and worked in production at Virgin Records for a couple of years until I met Satchel. But my point is, never give up. That's the point. You know, at the end of the day, yeah, it may take longer, but that's some people's stories. Like Huey Lewis. You know who Huey Lewis is?
Heard of the guy? Rings a bell.
So he didn't get signed until he was 45.
Mm.
Same with Rick Ocasek.
Did you ever think about writing a book about any of this stuff? It's like, it's a pretty interesting journey you've had to be able to go from all those challenges to be able to sit here on this glorious podcast. Yeah, you've made it now with this guy. But yeah.
Well, you're not so bad. You're a pretty good looking guy. You got a good personality. Smile.
Look at that guy. Stop.
Oh, yeah. What was the question?
No, like, have you ever thought about writing a book? Telling the story.
Oh, yes, the book. Well, you know, maybe down the road. I'm not done working. You know, I feel like the book is for retirement. You know, when it's
there's a lot of successful people out there that like they write a book and they keep going.
Let me rephrase that. For me.
Gotcha.
For me, I'm not interested in doing that right now. I want to keep working and enjoying Steel Panther until the wheels fall off or until we die.
Well, like maybe the book isn't sort of like a memoir, but like hey, this is my journey. This is how we did it. This is the mindset that I had. And maybe other musicians might be able to go, shit, you know, because there's no apprenticeship or school. You know, it's like if you want to be, like I said, you work in construction or, you know, there might be apprenticeship programs, and that's the path. To get in your path, it's like, how do you do it? It's so bloody cloudy. But you might have a lot of tools.
Yeah. It might be something cool to do. And now that you're describing it that way, it would be cool to have a book that could be helpful to up and coming musicians. That would be cool. I'd be into that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you could write it.
So, I'm not really good at writing.
I don't know, like your lyrical content, I mean, you've said some words here. I think you sound, you're quite articulate. I mean, there we go. All right.
Well, all I do, look at, dude, this is how I learned to surf. Satchel will write the music and all the lyrics while I'm on the beach surfing. And then he'll call me up and say, hey, I got a song. Let's come to the studio and I want you to sing it. All right, man. I go to the studio. He'll put the lyric sheet on the thing. I sing it. That's it. So maybe I just need a ghostwriter. You want to write me a book?
My English little. So yeah, maybe. It is, buddy.
You never know. I guess, Ben, the answer to that question on a broad scope would be, you never know what could come down the pike. I just never really have a plan to do it at this point. But man, if there was an opportunity that sounded good and it didn't take too much time from, you know, the band and what we're doing, I probably would do it.
Well, I know you just got a new song out, 1987. It's a banger. It's a classic. It's got, there's some good lyrics. There's some clever lyrical content in that. So yeah, I'd be pretty excited to hear what a book could actually sound like with all that creative thought process that you got going on. You're a creative guy.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And like I said, I would just have Satchel write it because he's the best writer. So, but, you know, in 1987 is really a reflective song for us. And it really encompasses our childhood as it's written in there. And it's pretty cool because every time I listen to it, I just get emotional, you know, just remembering like back in the day when I was in high school. Those were some really awesome times, hopefully for most of people that are watching this too as well. And it's really cool to reminisce about what it was like when your world was this big, you know?
Yeah.
Because now when you're older, your world's much bigger. There's more things to ingest. and you've done things over and over and over and over and over again, and they're not as new and fresh as they were before. So, being that young and having new experiences it's exciting. It's an exciting time in somebody's life. And to reflect back to that time for myself personally, it hits me in the feels, bro.
So, yeah, I mean, the good thing, it probably just sort of motivates you to, as you said, to keep on, keep going. I think you got a whole bunch of tours around the world all next year and just be able to kick out the jams with it. I really want to pick your brain. I want to play a bit of a game, more of a stuff about Australia.
Okay.
Right. So,
I'm in.
All right. So I've just prepared a few things because you said you've been to Australia. Like, let's see how much of a travel guy you are about Australia and how much downtime you was able to actually absorb between the shows. So it's a simple little fun thing. All right. So all you got to do is I'm going to say one thing about Australia, and you just say the first thing that pops in your head.
Okay. Good luck.
Hugh Jackman.
Pussy.
What? Why is he a pussy?
That was the first thing that came to my head.
All right. Kangaroo.
Dog.
Melbourne.
Brisbane.
AC/DC.
Van Halen.
Crocodile Dundee.
Oh. I just keep thinking about the guy who got stabbed by the stingray. I forget his name.
Steve Irwin.
Yeah, that reminds me of Steve Irwin.
You a fan of Steve?
Yeah.
The Crocodile Hunter? You watching his shows?
Well, we used to, obviously, and his daughter used to come to the show all the time.
Oh, what's her name? Mindy.
I forget. What's her name?
So Steve Irwin's daughter's a fan of Steel Panther.
Yeah.
Not bad. All right, got some more. The Wiggles.
Satchel. He loves that band.
So I guess
I'm not
one of the
kidding.
biggest.
I'm not kidding. He's like, these guys are making millions of dollars playing fucking kid songs. Gotta make a kid record. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, there's like this little alternative sort of radio station here, and like they're so successful that they've branched out in almost like an alternative market.
Yeah.
So yeah, right. And kids
that's great. Good for them, man.
Yeah, yeah. Nicole Kidman.
Tom Cruise. I think of him immediately because he's the one who banged her in Tropic Thunder. Is that what it was called? No.
Days of Thunder.
Days of Thunder.
The racing car. Yeah. All right, a couple more. The Big Banana.
Big Banana. Oh, Minions.
Ah, right. You don't know what the Big Banana is, I'm guessing.
I don't know.
Oh, it's like this iconic thing. It's in between like Brisbane and Sydney. It's like halfway.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
why are they called Big Banana?
Vegemite.
Oh, Men at Work.
Yeah, right. All right, we're about to got a couple more things because I know we are sort of time precious, but we've got some Australian slang. Let's see if you can interpret some Aussie slang.
I'm so horrible at slang, but I'm ready to go.
All right, what does hard yakka refer to?
Hard yakka. Oh, when you throw up after drinking too much.
Hard work, which would be hard yakka. So that's actually you can put that in context. It was hard yakka vomiting. So that would actually be applicable.
Hard yak and vomiting?
Yeah, well, it's just hard work. I don't know. If you go to work and you're busting your like, it'll be used as like a construction worker with a shovel and digging shit all day. It's like, man, that's some hard yakka. Well, vomiting is yeah. So, all right. What time of the day is it at the sparrows fart?
What? I have no idea, man. I am so out of the loop on that one. Tell me what it is.
It's in the morning. It's like sparrow's like a bird. So when they're chirping it, it's when you're waking up. It's like, I was up at the sparrow spot.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Hey, you never want to be up on cocaine when the sparrow spot, right?
All right.
That sucks. It's a reminder you're probably out.
All right, man. We got 3 more. What are mates rates?
Mates rates?
Mates rates.
Mate rates.
What
Mate's
would that
rate.
could that be?
I don't know.
It's
How do
toughy.
you mate your mate? I don't know. Rate your mate.
Yeah,
I would say
it's
rate your mate.
pretty much well, mates rates. Like it's you're getting a discount. You
Oh,
know,
really?
give me like a
Cool.
discounted rate. So your mate walks in and go, oh, come on, mate, give us mates rates, give it to us a bit cheaper.
That's like a whole different language. It's like being in Glasgow.
Yeah,
Makes
well,
sense.
that's kind of how it was started. Like convicts originally, like not including Aboriginal culture, like colonized Australia. So have you met people from like Glasgow, like East London, like the
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
all that language come over here, and there was uneducated people, and it's just morphed into modern day society. Like our politicians, newsreaders, like we just I can't bloody speak, use slang. And
Right.
that's it's just become like legitimate parts of Australian language for the most part. You know, you can be a very professional person, use slang, and it's not deemed like, oh, mate, you're an idiot. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
we're just having a conversation. I mean, this is
Yeah.
like pretty common stuff. It's interesting. Okay, I got two more. What does it mean to have a crack?
A beer.
You crack
Am
a
I
tinny?
right?
Yeah, nah, you're attempting something. All right, the final one. One more to go. What do budgie smugglers refer to?
Budgie smugglers.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude. Underwear.
Yes.
Speedo.
How did you know that? You got one.
Because I remember when I was at Bondi Beach, I was at Bondi Inc. getting tattooed here. And I remember somebody telling me that slang to use on stage. I'll never forget that.
Well, there you go. Well, there you go.
Oh my God.
They are some hard questions. To be honest, I was surprised if you would have got any, but you probably got like the hardest one being the budgie smuggler. So that means, yeah, well done. Bravo.
I still got it.
Michael, Starr, we are just about out of time. But I really want to thank you for taking the time. You know, you in your mum's garage, you've just been touring, you know, probably got a lot on your plate. You know, you got this new album, and I really want to thank you for taking the time and unpacking, you know, what it's like to be on the road. If it's always partying, so maybe the lesson is after everything, party with some positivity and a mindset. So like know your limitations, perhaps, if you're going to live life on the road. Otherwise, you're going to fall on your ass.
Absolutely. You got to take it one day at a time, man. You know what I'm saying?
That'll do. Well, thank you so much. Until next time, we'll speak then.
All right, man. Be cool. See you, buddy.